Agriculture and Commercial Show held in Lusaka this year. So ZIPAR is here to exhibit. So ZIPAR is here to exhibit and showcase its products as a national think tank responsible for conducting policy research as well as policy analysis and capacity building. So besides, or as part of our activities here, we are also conducting discussions around the theme for this year, for this year's Agriculture and Commercial Show, which is around adapting to climate change. So we've been conducting these discussions from Wednesday, and today is the last day for the discussions. So on Wednesday we had a discussion on around how can we attain agriculture transformation amidst uncertainties of climate change. And then yesterday we had a discussion around navigating green transition, macroeconomic stability, resource leveraging, and sustainable growth. All these discussions, including the one we are going to do today, can be found on our Facebook page. So in case you miss some component, you can find these discussions on our Facebook page as well as our LinkedIn and YouTube. Okay, so today's discussion is on green financing options for MSMEs in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. So why have we chosen this topic? We have chosen this topic because we believe that it aligns with the theme, with this year's theme for the agriculture show, which is adapting to climate change. So we believe that green finance is essential for promoting environmentally sustainable investment and eco-friendly business activities. We also believe that green finance is the lifeblood of green businesses, green business investment, as well as eco-friendly business activities. And why are we focusing on MSMEs? MSMEs, as we may all be aware, constitute the largest component of the businesses in the country. They form 97% of the businesses in the country. Therefore, they are important and they are the backbone of this economy. They also contribute about 70% to GDP as well as 88% to jobs. So with that background, it tells us that MSMEs are critical and they are a crucial agent for sustainable development. So they cannot be left out in the process. Now, despite the fact that we have the MSMEs are so critical to the economy, they face various challenges, which include limited access to green financial products, collateral requirements required by the financial sector for them to access the products, awareness challenges, among others. Of course, I'm not going to preempt all the challenges, because that's why we have a panel here which is going to highlight the various challenges that the MSMEs are facing. So my name is James Mlenga, and I'm going to moderate this session. And with me here, I have a very, very powerful panel of people coming from government, regulators, as well as the private sector representatives. So I'm going to introduce my panel. I'll start, let me start with on my immediate right. We have Mr. Chinyanta Chikula. He's a chief economist in the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, and he has 20 years of working experience in the civil service. He holds a bachelor's degree in development studies and a master's degree in economics. He's worked also at Cabinet as a policy analyst for 5 years, and currently is under the Ministry of Small Medium Enterprises, and he's been working around issues of financing for MSMEs for the past 4 years, from 2021. Then next to him is Mr. Kennedy Mukuka. I'll read this profile as well. It's a big profile. So Mr. Kennedy Mukuka is a finance professional with 17 years of experience, combining 8 years in audit and 9 years in central banking. Currently is serving as manager financial inclusion at the central bank, that is the Bank of Zambia, and his work focuses on bridging the gap between underserved groups, community-based financial institutions, micro, small and medium enterprises, and formal financial services. He leads efforts to establish key linkages and enhance financial inclusion for underserved adults and businesses, ensuring they have access to essential financial services. With expertise in research and policy development, Mr. Kennedy Mukuka has been integral to national initiatives such as the National FinScope Studies, the MSME Finance Study of 2022, and the development of National Financial Inclusion Strategy 2. His contribution to these initiatives provide a foundation for financial services providers, policymakers, and other stakeholders to create inclusive interventions that promote financial access and literacy. So through his strategic role, he continues to advocate for financial inclusion as a critical driver of sustainable economic growth in Zambia. And next to him is Mr. Alan Chanda Chitwamali. He's a lead policy analyst at the Zambia Association for Manufacturers. So Alan is a development and business management professional with over 5 years experience in policy analysis, regional trade and sustainable development. He is currently the lead policy analyst, as I have mentioned, lead policy analyst at the Zambia Association for Manufacturers, where he drives advocacy on industrial policy, public finance and private sector competitiveness. His work is rooted in advancing prudent public financial management, effective public debt oversight, regional integration and catalytic growth of MSMEs across Africa. Alan has contributed to national and regional reforms under COMESA, SADC, and the AFCFTA, with a strong focus on data-driven decision-making, SME development, and fiscal governance. He holds a master's degree in international business management and a bachelor of commerce in economics. Then my last panelist on the far end there is Mr. Emmanuel Mumba. He emphasized that is Mr. Emmanuel Mumba, not Mr. Emmanuel Mumba. So Mr. Emmanuel Mumba is an economist, private sector development expert, and policy research analyst with extensive years of experience in advancing economic policy reform, fostering business growth, and driving evidence-based advocacy. His work spans key sectors including mining, finance, trade, and MSME development, where he applies economic analysis and data-driven insights to influence public policy. Currently, he serves as acting chief executive officer at the Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that's ZACI, providing strategic leadership in policy engagement, stakeholder coordination, and institutional development. Emmanuel is also a member of several national technical committees on private sector development, offering expert input on trade facilitation, regulatory reform, and economic governance. So this is my panel, and as I said, this is a powerful panel we have here, and they are going to help us discuss the topic, which is green financing options for MSMEs in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. So my panel now, I turn to you. I'm going to ask you a general question which you are all required to respond to. So the question is, what is your view on access to green finance for MSMEs? That is, how important is green finance for MSMEs? So we'll start with you, and I think I'll allow 2 minutes response for each one of you. We can start with you, sir.
Okay, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this panel, representing the permanent secretary who was supposed to be in this panel discussion this morning. Green financing is very important for SMEs, especially in our current environment. As you know, Zambia is just recovering from the drought that affected each and every one of us as an economy. It was even harder, especially for the SMEs, because they require energy to produce their goods. They require energy for lighting. They require energy for various services that they need to provide the members of the economy. So what green financing does is it enables the businesses to take a sustainable approach to acquiring energy. It also helps them to take a sustainable approach to growing their businesses, which enables them to be resilient over the lifespan of their businesses. And especially as you had highlighted, in Zambia about 97%, that's a 2021 statistic, 97% of all businesses are SMEs, and if we are able to intervene in this section of the economy by bringing and making green financing available and possible, then we are serving the greater majority of the people. And that also speaks to democratization of business and also being inclusive in our business approach. For now, I will leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's the same question for you as well.
Thank you so much. I think I'll just pick it up from what Mr. Chikula has highlighted. And as you earlier indicated also, MSMEs they contribute largely to the economy as well. Seeing from the statistic, 97% of that being MSMEs, I think we can't afford for them to be lagging behind. So if we see the impact of climate change currently and what the world is going through, I think this is real. And for MSMEs that are forming a larger part of contribution even to employment in Zambia, even in other sectors, manufacturing, agriculture, I think for us to be able to move in tandem with the world, and if we look at Zambia, for instance, most of our economic activity centered around agriculture. If we look at MSMEs, we also have manufacturing, which is coming up, and if we have to adapt, for instance, to climate smart agriculture, these are projects, of course, that are not that are quite costly, and therefore green financing becomes very important, because we need to find ways and means in which we can have our SMEs participate and have them be resilient, as it has already been highlighted, and coming up with various products that would be able to suit the different kinds of SMEs that we have. I think for now I'll leave it there.
The importance of green financing cannot be overstated, and at the risk of sounding repetitive, as my previous colleagues have already spoken, from maybe from a manufacturing perspective, green financing is really important, because it then does provide alternative source of financing for our manufacturers. as opposed to what is the norm or the traditional sources of financing. Green financing, speaking from the recent drought that we have experienced, does also provide the resource to unlock a responsive but also responsible type of manufacturing. When you look at some of the processes within manufacturing, you find that they could be heat intensive. From that, you find that there's a lot of wastage in terms of the energy that is used. But with green financing, it then provides options for manufacturers to be able to harness that energy, convert it into either electricity or use some of that waste from a circular system that they develop within their production, which in most cases is unlocked by resources that are provided by green financing packages. So green financing, from our perspective, where we stand, is really important because it unlocks opportunities. We are looking at manufacturing currently contributing just over 9.3% to the GDP. And having had the drought that we have, we saw quite a reduction in the ability to produce. But with the option to green finance, you do see that there's a possibility that we could up the productivity of our manufacturers, keep the wheels of the economy going, even with the drought that we've had, and looking at Vision 2030, which targets 36.2% contribution from the manufacturing sector. You can see that with that gap and shortfall that we have currently contributing at 9.3, green financing provides an opportunity to bridge that gap and move the manufacturing sector into a position where we can contribute a lot more. I think I can leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. From where we stand as Zaki and the broader private sector, I would just like to just ride on the comments that have been provided. You know, from us, green financing offers alternative financing models. Remember, our economic structure and what the barriers to productivities within the private sector has been access to financing models and vehicles. So when you speak to sustainability as well, remember we are trying to promote an economy that is inclusive and as well that is sustainable. And when you look at and dissect the key aspect of green financing, it brings every aspect of sustainability in as much as we want to produce or be productive in our economic endeavors. We need to be producing in a sustainable way, and green financing actually offers that opportunity for us to incorporate issues of sustainability in our production processes. So for us, green financing is not just an opportunity but very important initiative. One, it empowers our SMEs, our MSMEs to be more resilient, to be more productive and efficient in their production processes. And also that entails, one, we are going to have a sustainable economy and we are going to produce our economic activities in a sustainable way. That will speak to, you know, issues of the growth margins will be more sustainable. And also just on a broader private sector as well, I spoke to issues of limited financing vehicles. So it's an alternative, again, to invest in our production processes, to expand our production processes, and also to ensure that sustainability remains the core of our production processes. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for those responses. Of course, what has been emphasized is that green finance is critical for sustainable activities, for sustainable business activities. It's important for adaptation. It's important to make also business resilient. So we are going to move on to now individual questions. I'll start with we can start with government, right? Okay, so the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. Of course, as we are all aware, the ministry revised the MSME policy in 2023. And if you check the MSME policy, it has highlighted various challenges that MSMEs face in the country. One of them is issues of finance, access to finance. It's highly critical because a business cannot function without finance. Now, we want to find out here, we want you to bring out issues. Do you have plans as a ministry to integrate green indicators and environmental performance metrics into Zambia's MSMEs policies and programs, considering that it's a bit silent on greening issues? And also maybe I can add another question, or maybe I can give this. The other question is how does the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises coordinate with the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment with regards to MSMEs adoption of sustainable practices? That's two questions. Of course, you can answer them together. Yes.
Right. Now, thank you very much. So the starting point is just to highlight that the Ministry of Small and Medium was created in 2021 with a vision to foster the growth and development of the micro, small and medium enterprises as well as the cooperatives. So we are catering not only for your traditional SMEs but also the cooperatives, because the cooperatives seem to be more, especially in our rural areas. So this is an important intervention to see how we grow the economy in a balanced manner. All right. So in that space, what we're doing is we're trying to create that enabling environment for the SMEs and the cooperatives to grow. Now, we started with the SME policy, revising the SME policy and the cooperatives policy, because we noted that the 2008-2009 policy that was initially formulated by then Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry had come to its close. The policy implementation plan of 10 years had come to its close and it had not been revised. And we therefore undertook certain consultations and interventions through research, engaging your institution, ZIPAR, as an anchor institution to help us do that research, do that dialogue with the stakeholders, so that we can then establish a good base for the new policy. And thanks to your good work, we now have a policy that is a bit more responsive and reflective of the views of the stakeholders. However, this is not the end of the path. Like I said, we are here to create that enabling environment. Okay? And currently, just last week, we were given approval in principle by Cabinet to now introduce a bill in Parliament to speak to MSME development. And it is in this bill that we hope to now bring in these various aspects that we trust will then be able to raise the issues of indicators and other aspects that are a bit more technical, so that all the stakeholders are compelled, so to speak, by law to take certain steps. As you know, green financing basically is talking to the issue of sustainable development, which simply means that we are using economic development and social development as a basis for us to grow the economy without compromising the ability for future generations to enjoy the same level of environmental facilities that we are enjoying. All right. So what that entails in principle, okay, let me tone down on the technical things. What that entails is we need to have a framework, a law that enables the businesses to innovate in a way that does not diminish the resources for the future generations. So since we are trying to promote innovation, we are trying to promote changes in the way things are done, we need that financing, that special financing that will support those innovators who are coming up with novel ideas that were not there before. I'll give an example. We have a young man who we have been supporting who has come up with what is called a smart stove. Now, this smart stove is supposed to move away from the traditional electricity, okay? It is supposed to maybe be dependent on solar. It is also supposed to be dependent on gas, okay? So that it is not causing pollution, it is not destroying the environment. Who is going to invest in a startup business? That is the question that we have been grappling with. In order for us to create that environment where people have the appetite to invest in this startup, we have to create laws that make an incentive for sector players to come and invest in that kind of business. And this is why we have been working with the Ministry of Green Economy to come up with frameworks, to come up with policies, to come up with avenues that promote the new kind of thinking. And one of the new kinds of thinking is what is being called ESG, environmental sustainability governance, as a way of unlocking financing. And most financing frameworks now have incorporated ESG. And in the month of September, the Ministry of Small and Medium, alongside the Office of the Vice President, will be holding an ESG summit right here in Zambia to popularize this information, to popularize this kind of thinking that we need to go green. We have also been engaging private sector, and you know that under SEC, there has been the issuance of the green bond, okay? And who is investing in those kinds of interventions? It is people who have that innovative mind, okay? Of course, one of the leaders in that space has been Copperbelt Energy Corporation, right? And we can see that through that they have even reached a billion kwacha level because of the green kind of concept that they have introduced in their business by investing in solar and those kinds of things. So we are saying that we're working with the Ministry of Green Economy. We are sister ministries. We're created at the same time, and we have a common agenda, which is to promote innovation. And in promoting the innovation, we need to create the frameworks that were previously not there. So we are trying to introduce the MSME bill, and I'm sure this will be along the startup bill and other bills that will support the small businesses, the cooperatives, and the others to get into the green space and be able to find an ecosystem that supports the growth of their businesses. For now, let me leave it there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chikula. It's actually comforting to hear that there is coordination between the ministries, because this is an aspect we've been talking about. The private sector complains about poor coordination between ministries. But we are comforted to hear that there is coordination between the two ministries as we work around the issues of green financing. I think I'm now going to move on to the regulator of green financing, or the central bank. So, Mr. Mukuka, considering that there is limited green financial products in the financial sector, what policy or regulatory reforms are being considered to incentivize financial institutions, like commercial banks and other financial institutions, to develop and scale up green financial products targeted at MSMEs and cooperatives?
Thank you. So as a regulator and a supervisor of financial service providers, I think our main role is to ensure that the regulatory environment is conducive to for the FSPs to deliver their financial products and services, as well as for the consumer to access a financial service or a product. So the theme of greening, I think, is relatively new in the country. And as a regulator, we are also trying to step up and ensure that the regulatory environment is indeed conducive for the delivery of such products and services, as well as for the consumers to access them in a fair and safe manner. So the central bank has indeed implemented a few initiatives and is moving. In 2023, as you may be aware, we did issue the banking and financial services green loans guidelines, and these are trying to ensure that the banks and as well as other financial institutions come up with procedures that integrate green not only in their processes but also the products that they're able to develop. This would entail that the green loans would be now available to the MSMEs and of course any other individual. I think Mr. Chikula has alluded to the fact of a green bond that was issued. But then if you look at the dynamics surrounding green bonds, they may be more accessible to large corporates, and that would entail that MSMEs might be lacking out. So therefore we need a product as well that would appeal to MSMEs, and this is where the green loans guidelines also come in, trying to facilitate for the issuance or access of green loans, and these at least would be cheaper and they would be available to most of our small and medium enterprises. In addition, the Bank of Zambia, through its strategic plan, has also recognized the issues surrounding ESG. And through our strategic plan, which would be implementable from 2024 to 2027, we've included in there several objectives to ensure that the agenda for green has been adopted by the financial service providers. And this will ensure that the sector adopts best practices for ESG. The bank also does collaborate with various stakeholders, including ministries, as well as non-governmental organizations, just to advance some of these initiatives. And one of those, I think we are participating in the development of a roadmap to green MSMEs. And I think I should mention that that's an activity also which is being spearheaded by government through the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. And I'm aware that ZIPAR is an institution that I think has been engaged by Ministry of Finance to spearhead the development of this roadmap, which I think will also help to ensure that all the MSMEs integrate green practices in their business processes. So I think from the bank's perspective, those are some of the issues we are looking into. And of course, we are looking at our regulatory framework as well, and ensuring that going forward, reviews are done and ensure that we do incorporate issues concerning greening. Currently, the bank, I think, is in the process of revising its Banking and Financial Services Act. So that work is underway, and the issue of ESG, I think, has not been ignored. And looking at the final product once it's been approved, I think those are some of the areas which you will see that have been incorporated in the Banking Act as well, just to ensure that the regulatory environment is indeed conducive. Then, of course, technology is another aspect which is advancing. We can see from the fintechs as well as digital financial services. So as the central bank, we have set up a regulatory sandbox. So what this is supposed to do, I think it's more in line with what the ministry has highlighted. But in our case, it's looking at the products and services that the financial service providers are able to develop. And maybe we don't have at a particular moment a regulation that speaks to a novel product. So such a product, the bank is encouraging that they can be brought into the sandbox and be tested in the sandbox, and after the testing period, it can be rolled out. So this is also open to institutions that they are not maybe licensed under the Bank of Zambia, but they have such financing products. This extends to green products as well. They are able to come through to the Bank of Zambia, test those products, and see how best they are working, and the bank is also able to assess, and it also offers as a learning point for the central bank as we are coming up with a regulation to see whether this is something that can be adopted within the country. But in the area of fintech itself, or digital financial services, I'm sure we are seeing a lot of traction in the services that are being offered, for instance, by our mobile service providers, in collaboration, of course, with the financial service providers. We see that there's a lot of products that are green-oriented. You are able to get microloans to finance maybe solar related projects, as well as maybe agriculture related financing that is green. So I think this is also another avenue that the central bank is trying to promote, to ensure that financial service providers continue to come up with such innovative products and services that are able to reach the MSMEs. Thank you.
Okay, you want to proceed?
If you may allow.
Okay, please go ahead.
All right, so I think as reminded by Mr. Chikula here, the bank, I think in 2022 did conduct the MSME finance survey, and a lot of challenges were noted that MSMEs are facing. And I think from that, it has also been highlighted that there is need to come up with an MSME finance strategy. And I think this is work which is still underway, and it's being done in collaboration with the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Ministry of Finance, the other regulators in the financial sector, the Pensions and Insurance Authority, as well as the Securities and Exchange Commissions, as well as other stakeholders. So we envisage that with this strategy being developed, it would be able to address some of the gaps that we see with around MSMEs, and they should be able to have access, improve access, and also maybe just build capacity, not just on the MSME side, but also from the financial service providers themselves, because we need to build capacity for them to be able to better serve the MSMEs, and probably come up with specialized products that are able to be accessible to the MSMEs, whether by sector or by the target group. If we are looking at women, for instance, the youths, and so forth. Maybe just one additional point would be that looking at maybe the issue of climate change and the drought that we recently had as a country, we are seeing the impact of that. So the central bank, of course, also does come in. We have, I think, introduced a sustainability and resilient fund, which is accessible to the financial service providers for onward lending to MSMEs. So this is targeting the agricultural sector. So that fund is available, and I think what that fund is trying to do is provide a cheaper source of finance to the MSMEs through the banks and other financial service providers that are able to come through the bank and apply for that facility so that they can use it for onward lending as long as they meet the criteria which has been set up by the central bank. Thank you.
Okay, great. Mr. Mukuka, thank you very much for that elaborate response, highlighting the various interventions, the various strategies, policies that are being put in place to ensure that there is an enabling environment for production or for coming up for businesses in the financial sector, that is the commercial banks and other institutions, to come up with products that are targeted towards greening MSMEs. Now we are going to move on to the private sector. Is it private sector as well as the civil society? Much more private sector, eh? So private sector representatives, and we have two representatives from the private sector. That is from ZACI as well as ZAM, Zambia Association for Manufacturers, as well as Zambia Association of Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So we'll start with you, Mr. Chitwamali. It's the same question. Of course, you probably provide different perspectives. So what steps are you taking as associations to enhance private sector's access to green financing, especially for MSMEs that lack requirements for these forms of financing? Because we understand that MSMEs face challenges in accessing finance, whether it's general finance or green finance, because of issues of collateral and other requirements. So what are you doing as associations to ensure that MSMEs are also able to access green financing, even those that do not have collateral?
All right, thank you very much for that. I think from our perspective as ZAM, we firstly took cognizance of the fact that ESG as a concept and as a practice is relatively new to Zambia. So by virtue of that, we did see that there's a huge knowledge gap that existed, not only within the country, but more so within our membership within the manufacturing sector. So with that, we embarked on a survey to just understand what the landscape is like, test the knowledge levels, and just get a perspective and some insight as to what our members have in terms of an understanding there. So we, in 2023, partnered with USAID. We had a trade boost project where we took on board 40 manufacturers, and with that the intention was to upskill them in terms of the understanding of ESG and just bridging that knowledge gap that existed. So we found that with the with the with the MSMEs that we had taken on board, it would still be shooting ourselves in the foot if we undertook this exercise in isolation from ministry as well as the policymakers. So we also roped in the Ministry of Small Medium Enterprise Development as well as the Ministry of Green Economy in undertaking these capacity buildings, and we found that it was easier then to be able to understand from the perspective of our members what the gaps were. But though not being a direct linkage to finance, we found that this was a good starting point to bridge that gap. And then with this project, what we found is that from the 40 that we had enlisted, around 10 of them were then paired with companies in the USA for an exchange of technology as well as knowledge transfer. So yes, not directly financing, but again, it was exchange in green technology, which has been able to help some of our manufacturers in that aspect. And from there, we also did undertake an exercise that just looked at what areas of industry symbiosis could be undertaken, where we had, for instance, a company, I think they're displayed just out there, Easy Noodles, who would utilize waste from I think this is Coca-Cola, if I'm not mistaken, where, so what we found is that there's opportunities even within the industry and the sector to be able to link different stakeholders, to be able to see that where one does is it then reduces the cost of your production or the cost in your processes. So we undertook such exercises to ensure that we not only limit the waste but also take care of how that waste is handled by having other stakeholders take that as an input. So in terms of linking that directly now to finance, I think ours has been to really just bridge the gap, try to get companies to take ESG compliance as a priority. So we've also done capacity building with partnership under the Enterprise Challenge Zambia, trying to then just ensure that companies tick certain boxes to know that once they get to that point, then it's more like a pre-vetting activity that allows them to be ready as they approach the financial sectors and financial service providers that my colleagues have already mentioned. So what we do is just bridge that gap, upskill them to a point that they are ready to take up these, to either apply for the loans or to request for these funds through the different either DFIs or the different FSPs that have been mentioned. So that way we ensure that once they get to that point, at least we have handheld them and also signposted them to the service, but also guided them along the way. Because it's one thing to say, oh, you can go to such and such a bank for this service, but there's, as we've mentioned, 97% of these MSMEs. And if you're looking at MSMEs, the technical capacity within the funding and resources that they have might be limited. So ours, again, is the role that we play is to handhold them, ensure that we provide the necessary support, but also direct them in pointing them towards these services. I think I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Well,
So
thank you so
Zaki,
much. Thank you so much. From where we stand, for us, issues of green financing, like I had put in my preamble, is an avenue of extending financial services beyond the traditional means. So we have been deliberate in our efforts. Every year we do have annual awards where we look at companies that are promoting sustainability. These are from the large sector segment, incorporating issues of sustainability, and we do provide some sort of recognition on those efforts. But just beyond that, I'm glad we are focusing mostly on the MSMEs. I think the dynamics changes when we bring the aspect of them into the conversation and green financing, and also the technical requirements that is just needed for them to be in a better position to access the funds. So we have been deliberate in our effort as well in those spaces. We have taken quite a comprehensive approach in understanding the market framework and the challenges that the SMEs are facing in terms of accessing even the traditional means. So what we have been doing is we want to build a base, not just for them to access green financing opportunities, but also be in a better position to access the traditional means. So we have looked at our economic structure, and I'm glad I think 99% of the businesses, of course, are MSMEs. And when you dissect those numbers, majority of them are in the informal space. Already that is an interest for them to access green financing. So what we have been doing is we want to push an agenda of formalization and put them in a better position to even access financing beyond the traditional means that is available. So we have struck deals, memorandum of understanding with the Industrial Development Corporation to try and transition about 300,000 MSMEs into the formal space. And what we are doing is we just don't want them to be formalization just to end at registering with PACRA. We want to provide capacity. We want to link them to the right financing mechanism and vehicles, and for instance, the Green Financing Initiative. We also want to make sure that we understand their need and their structural issues, so that we, even when we're developing policies or recommendation or incentives, they are tailor-made to their specific needs. But again, for us to really have that sort of information, we need to understand the structural market and also the available financing option that is where we want to embark on a survey to really understand the market, also to dissect not just the MSMEs, but also large sector players in terms of how well we can link them to the opportunities that is available in the on the market. So the KPMG partnership speaks to issues of capacity. We want to collect information on taxation, because remember, we might talk about limited financing options or green financing, but there is aspect of taxation that is coming into the conversation. So we want to understand the market and the challenges that is available, so that we develop a package that will speak not to just capacity, and we also make sure that we speak to the specific needs, because we do understand. Remember, the MSME category is quite broad. You have those that are in the informal sector. You also have those that are in the formal sector, and we have those that are in the informal sector. So we really want to understand all those dynamics for us to come up with a proper solution that will speak to sustainability and that will improve the access to capital. And this whole project is being developed from an informed perspective from Latin America in terms of formalization and also data collection, to be able to form or to be able to speak to the broader mandate of improving the competitiveness around the MSMEs.
Great. Those are various activities highlighted from the private sector side, how the chamber and the association are trying to provide capacity around issues of access to green financing for MSMEs. Now we are going to move on to, we are getting back to government. Yes, Mr. Chikula, sir. We earlier on you talked about, including Mr. Mukuka, we were talking about issues of green bonds. Okay, and we said these green bonds, of course, this is important financing for greening processes, but it cannot be accessed by MSMEs. Okay, it can only be accessed by corporates. It can only be accessed. So far, we were talking about Copper Belt Energy Company having issued that one, and then we don't know of any bank or any other institution. Of course, other institutions can issue or can have access to green bonds. So what is the ministry doing about it? How can the ministry help in accessing or in enabling MSMEs to also benefit from such financing as green bonds? Are there maybe plans that maybe you can partner with an institution that would issue that bond and then be able to make it accessible to MSMEs? So I just want you to speak to that issue, Mr. Chitola.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Mr. Mlenga. So basically, the role of government is to create that enabling environment for businesses to grow and to thrive. Government's role is not primarily to be a player in the space, but to ensure that private sector has enough space to cater for the needs. Even though that is the case, government has not stood aloof from what is happening, from the dynamics in our green space. So what government has done to help the SMEs and the cooperatives is that we came into the space and we noted that the financing that was available was quite expensive. The interest rates were very high, and most of the SMEs could not access the financing that was available then. So from 2021, the ministry took a position to basically promote, and we did this by engaging with the support of Ministry of Finance. We did this to engage the financial institutions to say we need to create tailor-made products for the SMEs and the cooperatives. And what we saw was that between 2021 and to date, you have seen a proliferation of products, not only financial products from the banks and the financial institutions, the FSPs, but you have also seen some financial products from other non-financial institutions, the risk mitigation institutions, such as the insurance firms. So they have also taken up, they have created products for people who will venture in the green space. Remember, some people will plant and that product may not grow. If they know that their product is insured, they will have more confidence, more courage to go ahead and try as an innovator, because there is now a product that will cover them in the event of the risk materializing. So government has been promoting these products. That's one. Secondly, government through our institution, the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, which is our agency, when we came into the space in 2021, CEC was receiving about 45 million on paper. In practice, they were receiving about 15 million kwacha to run their yearly budget. We advocated, we spoke to government, and we said, look, we need more resources coming to the SMEs and the cooperatives. And from 2022, we were able to secure about 350 million, which was coming into what is called the Enterprise Development Fund or the Entrepreneurship Development Fund, depending on which one you have heard about. Okay, and this 350 million then is being given out as a revolving fund, as loans to the SMEs. But they're not being given at the same interest rate that the common banking and financial institution is giving them out. So what this was trying to do, or has been trying to do, maybe let me mention that currently we are sitting with that empowerment fund sitting around 392 million point 5 per year. Hopefully next year to increase to about 400 million. What those resources have been trying to do is, with those resources, government has then made tailor-made products, especially in the green space. So CEC has issued out products for greening, some products for certain graduates who come up with innovations, certain products that were intended to begin to promote the creation of products in the green space, so that innovators and SMEs and cooperatives who would want to venture into that space can access a product that can be cheaper and that can make it easy for them to repay. And what we noted was that there was good appetite for these kinds of products. Currently, CEC is sitting with an appetite from the Zambian public of 30 billion kwacha worth of applications. Meaning, if from Zambia we had those kinds of resources to put into green aspects, there is appetite enough for people to take up those resources and use them. So hopefully through our agency again, the CEC, we will continue to explore avenues for such issues of the green bond. Okay, we will try and see how best they can venture into that space to see how we can try and reduce that financial deficit, because that is a present reality. Through the government funds, currently we have put in about 1 billion kwacha into the CEC, the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, so that then they roll out these products. But you can see that now we have about a deficit of 29 billion kwacha. And hopefully with that kind of appetite and that kind of resource within Zambia, we'll be able to unlock that. One of the areas where we potentially can be able to get these funds from are from facilities that the government has created through the Ministry of Green Economy, such as the Green Climate Financing Fund. Of course, we have also the National Authorizing Authority, which is also there to ensure that the financing is not just put into a moral hazardous environment, but it is being put into the right spaces. However, one will note that there's a great opportunity also around the carbon credits. So if we are able to unlock those opportunities that are around the carbon credits, where our businesses can, the ones who are intervening in the green space can get the carbon credit financing, then we will see much more greater potential. But of course, these are things that we are working with the Ministry of Green Economy, ourselves, and other players in the financial sector to see how best we can unlock these products over the long term. I hope that answers the question.
That was a comprehensive answer, really. And yeah, so just to tell everyone that government is not sitting about idle. They are really working to ensure that they quench the thirst or the appetite, as you have put it, for green financing. We are now moving on back to the central bank. So for you, of course, the central bank undertakes various studies, and as ZIPAR, we also undertook a study on greening MSMEs. And one of the factors we found was that there is low awareness among MSMEs, as well as the supply side, that is the producers of these particular products, in terms of awareness around the availability of products and all. What is the central bank doing to ensure that people are aware that these particular products are there or are being developed?
Thank you. So from the central bank's perspective, and as you can tell from my title, Manager Financial Inclusion, so already that shows that the central bank has instituted a division that looks at financial inclusion, and that extends to matters of financial education as well. So I think the key point from that is that with financial inclusion, we are trying to come up with linkage mechanisms for the consumer and the financial service provider, and also ensure that there is access. Once you link, there should be access. But then for you to have all those, of course, there should be an awareness. The consumer should be knowledgeable about the product that they want to access. So from the central bank's perspective, we are looking at it from two angles. There's also from the angle of the service provider themselves. For instance, through the issuance of the green loans guidelines, which are trying to ensure that the service providers integrate ESG in their processes, come up with green products. We are trying to ensure that they adopt best practices for ESG, and we are trying to ensure that there is transparency from the service providers, and how we are doing that is they report to the central bank on a regular basis, be it monthly or quarterly. So meaning they have to comply with the regulatory requirements. And one way in which that is going to be done, as they are coming up with green products, as they are reporting and as they are being transparent to their consumers, that requires that they disclose information to the consumer of a financial service. And in that disclosure, there is some financial education that occurs between the service provider and the consumer of the financial service provider. That's on the service provider side. Then when we come to the Bank of Zambia side as well, through our unit, we do carry out various activities of our financial education, financial literacy activities as the bank, and we also have cooperating partners that we work with. One of those is the German Savings Bank. So this is our implementing partner for financial education activities. So what they do is they have come up with business simulation games which target small businesses. So the small businesses would engage with our partner, and they would be imparted with knowledge on, be it on record keeping, savings, budgeting, and once that is done, we are confident that the small businesses have the knowledge to approach a financial service provider and demand for a service that is suited to their needs. Other than that, on a yearly basis, the central bank does also participate in the Financial Literacy Week. So I think this has been something that we've used to reach our consumers, reach the consumers rather, of financial service providers. But then since this activity happens on a yearly basis, meaning there is a gap, what happens when that week
has elapsed because it comes once a year. So the central bank has come up with a concept which has also been circulated to the other financial service providers, such that going forward would be conducting continuous financial literacy activities. So this would be done on a quarterly basis throughout the year and touching all the 10 provinces in Zambia. So I think this is something that will ensure that there's continuity in disseminating information to the public and ensuring that they are aware about the services and products that are being accessed by the financial service providers. Our law, as well as you may know, does allow for consumer protection issues and matters. This entails that the financial service providers are by law required to conduct themselves in an ethical manner, in a fair manner, as they are dealing with financial service providers. So that's also another avenue that we use, other than the moral suasion from the financial inclusion angle, but we also do have the regulation which comes out to ensure that the consumers are also protected from exploitation, I may say, from the financial service providers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukuka. And now, of course, we are running out of time, but I'm going to ask one last question to the association and the chamber. I want you to highlight one biggest barrier to increasing green finance access for MSMEs. What's the biggest barrier to accessing green financing for MSMEs in Zambia, and how can we address this biggest barrier that is in collaboration with government institutions? So I'll give 2 minutes to each one of you. 2 minutes to you and 2 minutes to him, and then we conclude.
All right. I think the biggest barrier is something that we have all spoken about. It's ESG being new. There's a lack of technical knowledge and awareness, which I think Bank of Zambia have spoken to. Because of that, you find that people don't even know where to start with for our SMEs. You don't know where to start with, you don't know where to go, you don't know what packages, what solutions, what services and products are available for financing. So if we could bridge that gap to start with, that would be half the work done, because then you would have a citizenry or a consumer, as we are calling them, that are knowledgeable about the products that are available. They'll be able to see, I think Emmanuel spoke about customization of these products. How do you know what is tailor-made for you when you don't even know what exactly it is that you need? So I think there's a very huge task ahead of us to ensure that, one, our MSMEs are guided properly in being able to understand and know that there's this green financing options available away from the traditional resources that are available. But in building that capacity, the elephant in the room comes up, which is the formalization. In the absence of formalization of these MSMEs, you find that you remain outside the net. Services will be provided, solutions created, and products created, but for as long as you are operating outside the confines of formalization, it becomes harder. So that is where, again, the work for us as associations, as chambers, but also with the government and the different agencies, is to ensure that we package formalization in a way that is attractive. Because the problem that we seem to find is that people are scared to formalize, because once you formalize, the notion is ZRA will be on you, PACRA will be on you, everyone, it will be hawk size on you. So in the if that notion continues, you find that people will have a reluctance to formalize. So if we can package formalization in a way that it shows that the incentive to formalize is, one, you'll be contributing to the tax base. Two, with the increase in the tax base, probably taxes begin to reduce for the general citizenry because there'll be more people contributing. Three, you have a government that does not need to borrow to supplement or to meet the need for the fiscal demands. So it is ensuring that we bridge that gap to understand that formalization is not in any way meant to put you in the spotlight, but rather it is bringing you into a place where you're able to access the different services and facilities. I mean, if you're talking about CEC, the empowerment funds, etc., without a paper trail for who you are, it is hard for you to access those resources. So in as much as the resources are limited, the resources are out there, but in the absence of your capacity to be recognized as a formal stakeholder, you lose your opportunity to take these. So yeah, so that's the biggest challenge, and probably where we can work together to ensure that we increase access to these. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mumba.
Thank you so much. The competitiveness around the SMEs. You know, for us, what we are pushing is sustainable formalization, and I'm glad that, you know, my colleague did touch on ensuring that we provide some level of incentive even for the people that we want to formalize. I think government should be more deliberate in those aspects. Again, I also wanted to touch on issues of, I think one of the biggest challenge that is there is that we have all these financing options that are available, but the main stakeholders are fragmented. We are operating in silos. There are so much opportunities that is available, and most of the opportunities or the mechanism are not known. You know, banks are doing this, you know, DFIs are doing this, government is doing this. So there's no sort of coordination among us different players. So that is very much important for us to move the agenda forward. Again, when we are developing this mechanism, especially around green financing, we need to be more deliberate and understand our economic structures. You can't borrow initiatives from the Western world and implement it in Zambia and expect it to work. You need to understand the structural needs of the economy, the structural needs of the people that we want to empower. Most of our SMEs are outside the formal space. They don't even have the capacity to really, even access the traditional means of financing available. So we need to be more deliberate, engage them as we are developing these packages so that they are tailor-made to the specific needs of those critical players. We can't borrow initiative strategies from outside and expect them to work in the Zambian context. So we need to be more deliberate in terms of what we are developing. If we really want to support their growth, we need to be more flexible to respond to their structural needs. We cannot, I will emphasize this, we are not going to develop if we are going to borrow initiatives from outside and implement them into the Zambian context. If you look at the many initiatives that are available in terms of the green financing and look at the numbers in terms of accessibility, even as much as we speak of the informality, the numbers are very low. You know, so we need to be more deliberate in those aspects so that we promote the agenda that we are trying to achieve in terms of improving the competitiveness around the MSME subsector. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those responses. I was supposed to ask for concluding remarks, but my timekeeper has indicated that we are out of time. So at this point, I just want to thank you, Mr. Chikula, Mr. Mukuka, Mr. Chitwamali, and Mr. Mumba. Thank you very much for coming through. Thank you very much for taking time to come and be with us to discuss this important issue. A lot of important points have been brought out on why and how green financing is important, in particular for MSMEs that constitute the backbone of the economy. I just want to thank also the people who have been following us online, that is on the Zoom link as well as on Facebook. Thank you very much for being with us up to now. And I want to emphasize that this discussion, including the one we did yesterday as well as the one we did on Wednesday, can be found on Facebook. In case you missed some parts of the discussions, you can access them in full on Facebook. Thank you very much. We end here.